This is
Brighton's finest.
bringing the artists closer to you.
Juice.
I wanted to start with a bit of history about you guys, really, because you're based in Melbourne, which is a very similar place to Brighton, I'd say. Very cultural, lots of music, lots of art, and just a real relaxed vibe around the place.
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of people doing a lot of things in Melbourne, but it's also people aren't too stressed out most of the time, which is nice.
Yeah, I can imagine there's quite a community of artists there.
Yeah, there's certainly a big music scene there. You can sort of go out and see a good band any night of the week, really. Like, there's heaps of stuff going on all the time, and lots of people playing lots of bands, so you can always go to a friend at any point during the week, which is nice.
Yeah, so do you both go out to lots of gigs?
Yeah, when we're at home, I feel like we're constantly going out to see other friends play, and I feel like not so much bands coming to tour, because bands don't seem to tour Australia that much, but there's such a plethora of local music that is worth checking out. It seems like there's a new good band every week, so just hang out at a pub and you're likely to see something good.
Yeah, that does make for a really good culture of itself, because, if there aren't the bands coming in, people are like, well, we'll create the party. Yeah,
create our own entertainment, and everybody's very supportive of each other. Like, they'll still, I think in Melbourne it's quite the vibe where people are, often standing down the back of the room and arms crossed, like, trying to play it cool, but people are still very supportive. They still rock up and will still be entertained, so...
Yeah. So when did you start getting really into music? Can you remember an album that really rocketed your love for music?
I've always sort of had it in my mind, I suppose. Like, both my parents were, or still are, musicians themselves. Like, my mum still teaches songwriting at a TAFE university, and I was always sort of pushed into it as a kid. My mum would teach me piano, and my dad plays saxophone and clarinet, so I'd often be going off to watch him perform at various places. I think it was just that influence, really. It was not so much the albums that I was listening to. Like, I was sort of into, at that age, like 5 or 6, I was some weird stuff. Like, I was sort of a Linkin Park sort of fan, and I think the first album that I bought was Discovery by Daft Punk that I was particularly into.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it was more just like really the family influence that had that effect on me, to be honest.
That's nice, because I can imagine there must have been lots of instruments around the house then.
Yeah, for sure. It was there was never any shortage. It's mainly like sort of woodwind instruments and brass instruments that I still never learned how to play. But my parents were always very happy to oblige if I wanted to learn something. Like, I remember saying I wanted to learn bass when I was about 10. And they were happy to go get me a cheap little bass so that I could learn and stuff like that. So it was a very supportive environment.
Yeah. Like, your music, or certainly your early music, was very DIY. Has that stemmed from just, you got these ideas that you really wanted to get out, or heard a musician and thought, man, I want to try that?
I suppose throughout high school and stuff, maybe romanticized the idea of all these, like, listening to these records by people that were just sort of making them themselves, all these early Ty Segall records, and that first Chris Cohen record I really, really liked. And Kaleem and I just bought ourselves a little bit of recording gear towards the end of high school, and it was less about the output and more about just hanging out and making the songs. So it just sort of progressed quite naturally. Like, there was never this idea of we have to get into a studio and we have to record this and it needs to sound like this. It was more just like hang out and have fun and make some music, and if it sounds okay, put it on the internet and maybe someone will like it.
Brighton's finest. Juice.
Well, I got sent the Glory Shawcross reissue, which was admittedly the first I'd ever heard of you guys, but I loved it. Yeah, and it's in a lovely package to hear all your, greatest hits, you could say, on one record.
Yeah, we call it the everything of, I think, because it's the best of, but it's also the worst of, because it's everything. So
yeah, but it's nice because it shows both sides to, what you guys do and what you're about.
Yeah, definitely. It's really nice to have it all all collected in the one little spot, is you can sort of hear more of the progression, I suppose, as to what we're going for. The first record, we made that with a friend of ours giving us a bit of help, because we were very, very clueless on even how to set up a microphone and really get it to record anything. And then we sort of took the reins on that over the second one. So it's cool, I think, that you can hear the progression when you flip the record, which is a nice thing.
And certainly with the new singles, Step Aside and Opposite, that's almost given you a little glimpse to what's to come, I can imagine. Yeah, I suppose so. They were, completely done by us. They were sort of the first ones that we mixed as well as recorded. So, but I think we've got another record that's done at the moment. It just needs to be mastered and stuff. It's definitely more towards that. Like, there's more saxophone and more keyboards and stuff like that, which is fun to play with. Well, that's very exciting. Like, can you tell me a bit more about this new album?
Yeah, well, it'll hopefully be out early next year. It's quite piano-based, and my dad plays sax on about half the record as well, which is always nice to hang out with him and work with him in that regard. I don't really know what else to say about it.
But yeah, that's an exciting thing to hear, because, you know, it's all well and good having an album of hits. To have an actual piece of music which is thought about from beginning to end as a whole, that's going to be something pretty exciting to hear.
Yeah, definitely. I think we're more so getting to that point where we're thinking about things holistically instead of just track by track, which is cool. I suppose they're like my favorite kind of records to listen to, is something where somebody's really considered what they're doing and the idea of the album as a whole, as opposed to recording a bit of a track and being like, this could be a hit, and surrounding it with a few other tracks that are okay as fillers and stuff like that. Yeah.
You're currently in Europe, which must be extremely exciting, and then you come to the UK very soon, including a date at the Joker on Friday the 29th of September.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to getting to the UK. It's really exciting to sort of be able to, I don't know, feels like a bit unreal that we're sort of over here being able to play for people on the other side of the world, and having people turn up to shows is quite bizarre to think about. But I'm very, very much looking forward to the UK.
Yeah, I can't even imagine that. Being literally the other side of the world, you can't really have a grasp on, you know, who's listening to your music or who's talking about your music. It's, it must be extremely surreal.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. It's sort of been a bit of a pleasant surprise. We've only really done Scandinavian shows so far, and if I had to guess, I would have thought that, you know, nobody would be here and we'd sort of be playing to these entirely empty rooms. But it's actually been really, really good so far. There's been a few people at the shows, and people are nice and are always down for a chat. So it's been a real pleasant surprise, I suppose. Wicked.
Well, could you tell me about the occasion when you found out about Tyler, the Creator, tweeting about your Shawcrest release? Yeah,
it's kind of weird. He just sort of shot us a little message beforehand, and me and Liam are both big fans of his music, but I sort of thought it was a little bit of a joke, but then realised it wasn't, and I was just more curious as to how that would have happened, because it was really just like a Bandcamp thing.
Yeah.
But we asked him, and he just sits there and lurks Bandcamp quite often, and we'll just look for things that might not otherwise be found. So kind of a cool thing about him, I suppose. Like, to know that he's passionate about discovering these things, and yeah, it was a bit weird, but glad that he enjoyed it, I suppose.
This is
Juice,
Brighton's finest.
bringing the artists closer to you.